What's going on, folks? Welcome back to the Moair podcast. Today, our guest is John McCardle. Some of you might know him from his social media presence, and some of you might know him from the National STOL Tour, where he seems to never wear a shirt. All right,
Hey,
John, go ahead and introduce yourself.
hey guys, yeah, I'm John McCardle, aka the Shirtless Wonder. Yeah, I compete in National STOL as the national champion last year in the touring class. This year I'm in the new world in this class, flying the Bearhawk 5, which is basically kind of like experimental Maule, like I was flying last year. So the new wilderness class is it's the experimental touring class. Bigger planes and experimental. So.
That's awesome. So I was going to touch on that. They did add a new class this year in the National STOL event. Is that because of the broad range of aircraft that were in the touring class?
It was because the certified planes couldn't compete with the experimental planes. If you have a 182, 185, 180, whatever, they're just not going to be able to compete with a 400 horsepower Bearhawk 5. It's just kind of the
Yeah.
way it is.
Well,
We try to get more people in the touring class, and I think a lot of people didn't want to come because they knew they wouldn't be able to beat those planes.
that makes sense. You're relatively new to aviation in the speaks of like getting your private license and all that other stuff, correct?
Yeah, I'm probably one of the newest pilots out there. Yeah, Tanner McIntyre, which is the Pat McIntyre's 16-year-old kid, so I have more hours than him.
We probably have more hours than a lot of people. You just a lot less time. You know what I mean?
Not
So,
in National STOL. I mean, I have 500 hours. There's not many people with um less hours than me out
oh
there.
wow, that's
So
pretty
yeah, I think
crazy.
I've had my license. It's getting pretty close to about 3 years now.
Oh, that's cool. So, what was your like kind of push to get into aviation?
Yeah, so I kind of wanted to be a pilot for, I don't know, for a little while. It was always kind of just like a pipe dream or whatever. And I had an ex-girlfriend, and her whole family was in to aviation, and I went to Oshkosh one year and watched the Soul demos and kind of realized that I could. I was also at the same time I was getting into hunting, so I realized I could, take my plane, land in the backcountry, and pack animals out. And I was like, this is for me. So
And
I there was the weighing competition that they used to have for STOL, and I my goal was to get my pilot's license before that competition, and I ended up achieving that. And that's the time when Tom Defoe unfortunately uh, crashed and died. And I'd actually been talking with him for, I don't know, an hour right before that, and kind of messed me up with flying and everything. But
yeah,
it's kind of like anything. You have to, stuff's scary when you first start it for the first time, and you kind of have to push through. And so I didn't have my tailwheel endorsement, and I went out and bought a Maule. Everyone thought I was crazy. And the next year, I said I want to compete at Wayne, and I did that for the first time with like 120 hours.
wow. So the mall was your first aircraft. What was that like as far as like insurance goes and all that stuff? Because I know the malls are a little bit trickier than some tailwheel. You actually have to fly them all the way till you stop, and some insurance companies don't like to insure low time pilots in those.
Oh yeah, for sure. Clemens Insurance.
Yeah.
If you're looking for aviation insurance, contact Clemens Insurance because they really saved me. The quotes that I got originally was like $12,000 a year, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna self-insure. And Jerry went and pulled out some magic, and I got insurance for $7,000.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, which a lot of people might think that's crazy, but um, that's pretty good for
Yeah.
that kind of plane with a pilot with no tailwheel experience and only 45 hours.
Right. Yeah. I was going to say a mall in general for low time tailwheel pilots is usually a little bit higher, anyways, but 7,000 isn't bad for, you know, your first airplane being a mall tailwheel and you're a new tailwheel pilot.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know some people now that are getting quote $7,000, and they have 3,000 hours, so and
Yeah.
hundreds of hours in tail hill. So I got a great price with only 45 hours. So reach
Yeah.
out to Jerry,
Jerry Clemens. Yeah.
Jerry
Clemens
Clemens. Yeah,
Insurance.
Clemens Insurance. They do the best job around.
They're in Kansas, correct?
Yeah, they're out of Wichita.
Yeah. Awesome. So if anybody out there is looking for aviation insurance, hit up Clemens. They're in Wichita, Kansas. You can find them online. You can look them up on the National STOL stuff to see how to spell it if you want to. They fly Huskies, right?
Yeah, Jerry has a Husky with the reversing prop.
Yeah, he's got the red one or the yellow one.
He has the red and black one, and then Austin is his nephew, and he has the yellow one.
Right. Oh, yeah. You had zero aviation experience. You're dating somebody who has a whole family full of aviation people. You get into hunting. You find out that you can fly into these backcountry areas and carry out a moose or whatever elk, whatever you're hunting for. And that's what sparked your aviation enthusiasm. What was your first step? Were you just like, hey, I got to go find a flight school somewhere? Or did somebody like kind of take you under their wing and teach you that way?
No, I just went to a flight school, took my exploratory flight. Is that a word? I don't know. Exploratory sounds right.
It is now. Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll go with it.
we're gonna make it a word.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I got my license uh, within 45 hours. So the program was 45 hours, and yeah, got it. And then it was off looking for a tailwheel instructor, which I couldn't find one here in Nebraska. And I had a guy that was going to check me out, but it was a couple months down the road, and I was kind of looking for planes at the time, and I found a mall in Washington, and Kathy Page, I met her at the Wayne events and became good friends with her, and she's awesome, 3,000, 4,000 hour tailwheel time, airline pilot.
Yeah.
She does stole drag. So I was like, hey, Kathy, what are you doing this week?
Oh,
you,
nice.
you want to come out to Washington and help me pick up a plane and ferry it back over the mountains and give me my tailwheel endorsement? And so that's kind of how it went down. She
That's
uh,
awesome, man.
she flew out there and picked her up in Seattle Airport and flew them all and got it done.
Man, that's just a good testament to how the aviation community is. You met her what, once or twice maybe, talked to her here and there, and
Yeah,
then
it
you're
was
just like, "Hey, come on."
it was at that Wayne event was when I met her, and it was kind of a bonding event with Tom's death and whatnot, and
Yeah.
sad to say, but we were all hanging out in an RV all night and just got really close to people kind of quickly.
Yeah, well, I come from a law enforcement background, so trauma bonding is definitely a thing that it amps up the relationship pretty quick.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, when you see something like that happen, especially you just get your pilot's license, you're really freaked out, and
Yeah.
everyone was just like, this isn't what it's like. Don't let it deter you. Just kept giving you good motivation. And
Yeah.
I didn't fly for 3 months after that, not because I was necessarily scared, just I didn't have a plane to fly, and I didn't want to just go rent one. So
Yeah.
first time I went and flew was in Washington, and I got like 4 hours in a J3 Cub, and everything was different. I was flying, off of grass strips, trees around you, and
Yeah.
I mean, flying a tail wheel you can't see over the nose. I,
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been more scared in my life. I was so nervous. I mean, my last experience was, watching someone crash, and I'm sitting here and everything is just unfamiliar. And we got through it though. We got through it.
Yeah. Yeah, that had to be really tough, especially being a new pilot because, you always hear of it's a dangerous thing. You got to be on your P's and Q's, but to see it firsthand like that would definitely be a heavy deterrence, and it would take a lot of willpower to get back out there and start again. but I'm glad you did because you entertain everybody all the time. So,
I try.
so you got your tailwheel endorsement, and then you flew that mall back from Washington, which had to be insane coming from Washington to Nebraska. That's a long flight for a brand new airplane that you just picked up.
Yeah, it was like a 12-hour flight. I mean, it honestly wasn't too bad. We had great weather, and I had Kathy there to help me. And straight and level flight is straight and level flight.
Right, yeah. That part don't matter if it's tail wheel or nose wheel.
Yeah, I always get a kick when people are like, "Oh, you don't have enough hours to be, doing STOL competitions," and I'm like, "Well, what kind of hours do you have?"
Right?
That
You're
you can take a 3,000-hour pilot that doesn't practice, short takeoff and landings, and they're going to be pretty darn uncomfortable. But if you do thousands of landings one after the other, you get the hang of it.
That's what I say. You could be a 120-hour pilot or a 500-hour pilot with 1,000 takeoff and landings as a stole, or you can be a 3,000-hour pilot with, maybe 1,000 of regular takeoff and landings. There's a
Oh,
difference, a type of training than number of trainings.
so yeah, completely different thing, and it's something you just kind of have to work into. I remember when I first got into it, I was, you know, understandably absolutely horrible. Just
Hey,
it's kind of a normal landing, just trying to hit a line and going to the STOL competitions. I got a lot of good pointers. Keith Lang was one that he's from Alaska, and he used to fly them all in my first competition in the rookie class. He came up to me, he's like, "Hey man, you're doing a great job flying that mall." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." I was like, "I suck." And he's like, "Yeah, I used to have one." And I was like, "Really?" I'm like, "What'd you take off and land?" And he's like, "I don't know, maybe like a little over 100 feet." I'm like, "How is that possible?"
yeah,
Then he gave me some tips, and I went and started practicing what he taught me, and the rest is history.
right. That's crazy because each airplane's different in and of itself. So you get the basics of okay, you come in behind the power curve, you want to land with more downward force than forward force, to get a less ground roll. That stuff's the basics, but each aircraft is different in the aspect of some aircrafts you want to start with, your tail up to get a better takeoff roll, and some of them don't actually take off faster with the tail up for some reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so yeah, there's a lot of things there. We'll just take the mall for example. Based off the wind, I'd kind of have to land differently because my opinion is you kind of want to pound it into the ground as hard as you can to take some of that forward momentum. But what'll happen is if you bounce, then you kind of lose everything because you don't have any braking power. So the mall would come in really fast. So I mean, if I didn't have any wind on a hot day, I'd really have to drag it in because if I tried to, you know, pound it in a little bit, I'd bounce too much. So if I had some headwind, I'd be able to pop it down a little harder because I'd have a slower speed. Where hotter day, you'd have to drag it in. And as far as taking off, that pretty much just depends on the power that you have. So it's always better to get your tail up because it's going to be less drag. But if you don't have enough power to actually hold your tail up, then you're it doesn't make any sense to do it. You know, Sometimes you'll see guys where they'll get their tail up and they don't have the power, and then the tail drops back down. In my
Bounces,
opinion,
yeah.
yeah, in my opinion, they're losing the capability on their takeoff there. So it just depends what your plane's capable of doing.
Yeah. I watched a cool video of you talking about it with the toy airplane the other day. I don't know how old that was, but it was cracking me up because you're like, yeah. And you were talking about getting your tail like down fast, but trying not to bounce your tail wheel off the ground.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. That's one of the techniques that I do, and I've kind of expanded on that a little bit with the flaps. But my philosophy on it is, you get your tail up. Do I need to grab the little airplane?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, you get the tail up right away, and I try to get it up far enough so I don't have to put a lot of forward pressure on the yoke because that's drag. So I try to get it so it's balanced because there's the focal point. If you go too far forward, you're going to tip it over. Too far back, it drops back down. I want it to just be kind of right there so I don't have a lot of pressure. And then once I pick speed up, I kind of keep it there. And right before I take off, I want to get that. the prop and the tail high, prop close to the ground, because I'm going to pull back as hard as I can on that. Because as you pull back, that wing is, you have air force, going against, the air beneath the wings as you pull down. So the harder you do, the more force you have.
Right.
And then I used to pull the flaps and then at the same time, but I found out if I can delay pulling the flaps, so I pull back hard and then, halfway down, then I pull the flaps, because the flaps relative to the air is going to actually increase the speed, where if the flap is set there, it's just going to be moving at the same speed as the wing relative to the air. So
Oh, that
I've
makes
actually
sense.
I've done a lot of experimenting with that, and I probably took
Yeah.
probably 20 feet off by doing that.
That's cool. So maybe another way to explain that to other people that aren't super technical, he's talking about slamming the tail down. He goes up and then back down. The Just think about the air displacement, right?
Hmm.
So the more air you're trying to displace by coming back down faster, the more lift you're going to get on that tail feather, basically.
Not the tail feather, but I
Or
mean the tail feather too, but the wings themselves. Well, as the wing, because as your tail comes up, if you have your tail up, and let's say this is the wing,
mhm.
and you bring the wing down like this, you
Okay, I
have
see what
that
you're saying.
force that it's pushing against the air beneath the wing. So if you do it faster, then
Ah, I
you
was
have the
thinking you were
air.
talking about the tail feathers coming down because they're moving a lot farther. You know
No,
what I mean?
it's the wing, yeah.
Yeah.
So like if this is a wing, and like let's say this is a flap right here, if you pull the flap at the same time and you go down, it's moving at the same speed.
Yep.
But if you go down and then you pull the flap as you go down, the velocity is faster relative to the air.
Right. Your flap's accelerating faster than your wing is.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. That's kind of cool that
Yeah.
you put that much work into it, which
Nerd
is
out.
why we all nerd out over aviation, let's be honest.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
that's why you got that thing behind you over there. It's because you put all
Yeah,
the
that's
work into
right.
it.
Yeah,
You know
got
what
the
I'm
national
saying?
championship trophy back there. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
So whenever you made the switch from the mall, well, actually, let's backtrack here because I actually have one more question about the mall. Did you buy it with the turbo on it, or did you add that later?
I bought it with the turbo on it, so it's still for sale too, by the way.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, if anyone out there, it's on Barnstormers, but it's one of the most capable malls in the world. And if you're looking to get a Bearhawk, uh, it'll get you ready for it, because you're not going to have one, and probably it's going to take a little while to get that
Right.
thing built. So if you're looking for one in the meantime, I got one available for you.
It's a M5 235, correct?
Yep, and it has a normalizing turbo on it, but it's a manual wastegate.
Yeah.
So I'm able to give it a little extra boost for takeoff. So I usually would I'd lock my brakes up, give it full power, uh, turn on the boost pump, and then give it a little extra boost with the turbo so I can
Th-
get off quickly.
So much more work. So much for you. I'm not saying like in general, but like for you in the stall competition where you have a split second to do something right or wrong, that's a lot of extra movements.
Well, that part, I mean, you're just sitting there with the brakes locked, so it's not a big deal. But once you get off the ground, you don't want all that boost, so you pull the turbo off and then turn the boost pump off. But it just becomes second nature
Yeah.
after a while. You don't even think about it, like, and then
Right.
yeah.
It's
So
like people that fly retractable gear all the time. Whenever they get into a fixed gear, they look for the
yeah,
gear switch because it's
it,
muscle memory.
yeah, and it takes a while. It's like anything. I mean, it takes a long time to get the muscle memory down for doing this kind of stuff. It's kind of like a golf swing a little
Right.
bit. You got to do it, hundreds, thousands of times, and to get it just right.
So everybody always talks. I mean, it's usually the same announcer every time, but there's always another announcer that kind of trades in and out with him. But every time you're on the National STOL Tour, he's always talking about how physical you are in the airplane, right? So you
Yeah,
like you lean into it, you lean back with it, you're all over the place in the cockpit trying to get the most out of it that you can. Why is it do you think that most people aren't moving as much as you are? Is it just your style or
they're just not as jacked.
so
uh,
you're saying they need to do some more sit-ups to get that movement going, right?
they need to get in the gym with me. We need to get more shirtless wonders out there. We're gonna start a movement.
I don't know if we want to see some of them shirtless out there. Let's
That's
be
when I gotta get in the
honest.
gym first. But
Oh,
no,
jeez.
it's like I said, the the faster you can get the wing to move, the more air you're gonna displace to get lift. So everything I do, I mean, you don't necessarily have to lift the tail up fast because as long as the tail gets up, that's fast. But pulling back and pulling the flap, you want to do that as quickly as you can to displace as much air, and then hopefully pop you off in the ground effect and hold it off.
Yeah, that that makes sense. It just they're always talking about how physical you are inside the airplane and just moving around, man. It cracks me up. It's never fails. It's always the first or second takeoff. They talk
Yeah,
about that every time.
yeah, I
But
know it's funny listening to him talk about it.
yeah. So let's fast forward now. So you flew them all for a couple years, right? What, 2 years in the STOL competitions?
Yep, 2 years.
And then you built this Bearhawk, which first off, that's an insane build. You did a lot of extra stuff to it. You got some what did you do? Slats on there, I think, right?
No, I don't have slats, so it's kind of pretty stock. I mean, I'm competing against the boss, which kind of
Yeah,
my arch nemesis right now. So
that thing's crazy.
yeah, it's ridiculous. But my goal is to beat it without putting slats on it.
There
So
you go.
uh, Virgil just developed new flaps for the Bearhawk 5. So
Okay.
he bought the company a couple of years ago, and they're doing a lot of really cool stuff with it, making the builder assist program, pretty seamless, having, a pamphlet to go through everything and basically just go through and bolt everything together. So the first thing that he did, it had plain flaps on it, which no planes have plain flaps anymore. So he put slotted flaps on it, which slowed down the stall speed, helped with the angle of attack on approach. And besides that, just the 400 horsepower engine that I got on there.
Just that's it.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, that helps out a lot, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But there's quite a few new cool things that Virgil's coming out with. He's kind of really redesigning the wing and working on slowing the plane down. Right now, he's testing some leading edge cuffs for the plane, and I think we're gonna take the flaps from like a 40 degree to 50 degree. So I
Oh
think I'm gonna
wow.
be able to get about 5 more mile an hour slower on my stall speed.
That'll be crazy.
And yeah, if you watch the last competition against the boss, I'm right there. So my takeoffs are pretty much the same, and I think they're probably about 25 to 30 foot shorter on the landing right now. But I get that thing slower. It's gonna be really close. It'd be really cool if I can beat it without slats. I don't know if I can do it because slats, help so much. And you see that
Yeah.
thing coming in, it's just hanging on them. Where I don't have the ability to do that right now, but
Right.
uh, I I think I can get them. I
Yeah.
think I can get them.
I think you can get them too. That thing's crazy. But, at the end of the day, there's gonna be a day where you get a little bit of wind and you finally get that extra, what, 5 degrees or 10 degrees of flaps in.
Oh yeah.
Man, that's gonna make a game changer right there.
Well, they're coming out with a new wing too, so it'll be interesting to see what the plane does when they get that wing on there. Because right now it's the boss cruises at 105, 110 mile an hour, where I'm cruising at 155 mile an hour.
Right.
So it's tough to beat a plane that is designed to fly that slow with a plane that is a heavy hauler cruiser. But
Right.
I think we could do it. So.
Yeah, I think you can too. That's crazy though. The Bearhawk is like one of the best all-around airplanes that I can find, which is why it's one of my favorite airplanes right now. The Bearhawk 5. It stalls out at what, 40 something? I can't remember what they said. It was
I'm at 44 right now.
yeah, 44, and then you can cruise at 150. Like, where else can you get that in an airplane like that?
Yeah, I was cruising at 158, burning 12 and a half gallons an hour.
Oh wow.
And, but I put the TK gear on, and I don't have the fairings and stuff on that yet, so that actually slowed me down 10 mile an hour.
Really?
So yeah, so I'm putting those on this weekend actually, and
Is
hoping I get back some of that speed.
is your new gear's got like the double shock absorber thing on it or something?
Yeah, it's got the Combane V,
Yeah.
the X, that kind of X in the front of it.
Yep.
So Yeah, it slowed it down a bunch. But hopefully I got some fairings, and we'll see what happens. I'm hoping, if I can be cruising at 150 mile an hour, the low 150s, and stalling in the high 30s, I would definitely take that.
Yeah, that would be
You know,
awesome.
that whatever hit on the high end to
Yeah,
get the lower end. And with the shocks, I have a 4-inch extended gear on it, so that helps me during my takeoffs, so I can actually get
nose
the
down.
tail up higher, because I have more clearance there. And so, like, when I pull back, you can you have more air to pull back to displace. And then also, if you ever stall a plane, the slowest speed that you stall a plane is usually, with the nose up high. And so you get that nose up higher there. When you're plane sitting, you're sitting like this as opposed to like this, so you can take off at a slower speed.
That's cool. Yeah, and I didn't know you added the 4 inches extra there. That new suspension, when you hit, is it going to stick better?
So we're still working on it right now. The way they had it set up when I was light, it was too stiff, and so I was bouncing. And then when I took the air out of the lower shocks, it made the wheels kind of display out, so that
Okay,
wheels weren't sticking straight up in the air. So we're still working on getting that dialed in, but I think I think there's a solution for it.
man, that's the thing. Whenever you're doing stuff like what you're doing, you're always tweaking something. That's pretty cool that you get to actually work on your own airplane too, though. Being an experimental build that you did, 51%, I think is what they say, right? That you can
Yeah,
work on it yourself and you can do all that other stuff.
yeah, it's 51%, and that's kind of the difference against the certified, because it's just so difficult to do anything. I remember I wanted to put an Earth X battery in my Maule, and it's certified for like 75 planes, but it's not certified for that exact model. Like,
Right. Yeah.
come on, guys.
Yeah. You're like, there's not an STC somewhere that I can put in this. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there
Yeah.
are. There's the STCs for 185s, 180, but it's not
Right.
for that certain model of Maule. So Earth X, they were gonna get it, but they're like, yeah, it might take us a year to get the STC, because nothing really goes fast with the government.
Right. Yeah. I know that all too well.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
yeah. So you had the mall that you competed in. Now you have the Bearhawk that you compete in. What is kind of like the best of the Bearhawk and the best of the mall? Like, is there the mall better at some things versus the Bearhawk, or is the Bearhawk better at everything?
The Bearhawk's better at everything.
Yeah.
I
That's
remember the first time I flew the Bearhawk, and I was with Virgil, and and I haven't flown a lot of different planes. I've flown. I learned in a 172, and then I had a couple hours in a J3, and then it was just the mall, and so I was kind of nervous getting into a different plane for the first time, and it was so easy. It was.
yeah.
Virgil was like, "Oh, you did that really well." I was like, "A lot easier than the mall. I don't know." It's
Right.
like, so I think we just did 2 takeoff and landings, and he's like, "Well, I think I got it." He's like, "Yeah, I think you got it too. See you later."
It probably didn't hurt that you've done nothing but landing practice for how long, you know?
Oh yeah,
So,
absolutely. And it just comes in a lot slower, a lot more stable. I'd say the mall is a little more nimble in turning. I think Virgil's working on some stuff on that too, so it doesn't feel as heavy on the controls. But I think a lot of that is just, especially if you're going 130, 140 mile an hour, it doesn't
yeah.
nothing really like
Yeah.
turns really easily.
Yeah, yeah. The faster you go, the bigger your turn. That makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
What made you want to start competing in the stole stuff? You've always been competitive, right? You played high school football, college football. Is that just something that when you got into aviation, you're like, hey, I got to compete in this because it looks awesome and I'm going to be the best at it? Or was it just, you saw it one time and you're like, oh, that looks fun?
Yeah, so I played football for 19 years. I did, like, I call it semi-pro in Germany,
Oh,
and
wow.
then I competed in CrossFit for 3 years. I qualified for regionals in CrossFit, and I was kind of looking for something else. and I was actually listening to Joe Rogan and Cameron Haynes talk about bow hunting, and I was like, oh, cool, getting that and try that. And then, I went to the STOL competition, and I honestly didn't think I was going to be able to compete very well in the mall. And I went to Wayne, and I think I got like last place in the rookie class, which if I was going against a lot lighter planes, I wasn't going to beat him anyways.
Right.
But my
Yeah.
dad lives in Tennessee, and so I went to the Nashville one, and I got second place there, and I was like, wow, I can actually compete in this. And I realized I could boost the turbo a little bit, and I was like, I can really compete in this.
Yeah.
And I'm just a really competitive person. So I was like, Brandon Korn was the returning champ, and I was like, all right, well, I got to beat Brandon now. So,
Yep.
that was my goal, and ended up pulling it out at Texas last year. It was really close fashion. I think I ended up beating. I won by like 1 foot
Oh,
to
wow.
seal the national championship.
That's
But
awesome, man.
yeah, the wilderness class now. I mean, there's a lot of people that kind of haven't returned from last year. Last year, I thought the competition overall was a lot better. But the wilderness class, you have me, you have Brandon, you have Luke Strandland now, which is Murphy Rebel, has 650 horsepower.
Yeah.
Then you got Jared Garrettson, who arguably might be the best pilot out there,
Oh my
and
gosh. That Badlands Traveler that he has is pretty mean too.
he's building a boss.
Is he
So
really?
yeah, he's
Oh
building a
no.
boss. So hopefully he has the boss next year. So I'm really excited to compete all against all of those guys, and especially Jared, because he kind of wins in everything he does. So I've been talking a lot of crap with him.
Yeah, that's good. Gotta keep it spicy somehow, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's good stuff, man. You travel all over the place for these competitions, right? So you're flying from Nebraska to Swamp Stall, which is in Louisiana, to you came out here to the Pony Express Stall, and then you go all the way up to Wisconsin. All these distances that you have to travel. Did you ever go back and get your instrument rating like you talked about from the bachelor trip?
No, I haven't got my instrument yet. I plan on doing it. It's just I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate the studying, and it's not the kind of flying that I like doing. But it will make me a lot safer pilot. And I think you mentioned that bachelor trip where I almost got myself into some trouble. I
Yeah, I
think that
saw that. Yeah.
yeah, I think the ceilings were like 400 feet when I was coming in. So it was a little sketchy. I mean, the
You're already
clouds
up.
came
You
out.
got to get down somehow.
Yeah, I mean, the clouds came out of nowhere, and I was like looking at the weather, and I was like, well, these aren't supposed to be here. And I was like, we got to get to the airport pretty quickly. And yeah, so same thing happened to an ag pilot. An ag pilot, like, man, what just happened? Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
but we got stuck.
Yeah, that sucks. I saw his plane didn't fit in the hangar either, which was really terrible for him.
Yeah, right. That big old ag plane.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
But so I didn't know if you've had any more instances where you were headed to a competition and you had to go divert or wait out a storm or something like that.
Last year in Texas, we waited out the storm for 2 days. There were some pilots that somehow got through it, and some pilots got stuck in random places. And uh, me and a couple of the guys were like, well, let's have a couple-day vacation here in Sulphur Springs, and we just went and hung out and like, all right, let's go to the bar.
Yeah. Nothing else
But
to do in Sulphur Springs.
yeah, we had a good time. But I, being a low hour pilot, I don't like risking stuff. So
Yeah, that makes
if I
sense.
if I see weather's gonna be bad, I try to avoid it. I don't really try to fly through a lot of stuff.
Right. You mentioned this earlier that you like to go hunting and you wanted to use the aircraft when you go hunting. I think you did a elk trip in the mall. Is that correct?
Yeah, we did an elk trip. We were thinking about doing one to Washington last year, but there was a lot of fires and stuff, and the weather didn't look great. So
Yeah.
we ended up driving. But me and Keith Lang, we're gonna go to western Nebraska this year and do a mule hunt.
Oh,
So
that'd be fun.
yeah, so you'll see that coming out here. I think we're going the weekend of November 8th. I'm always slow getting my YouTube videos out. I hate editing.
Hey, that's no fun. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
part of the time I like editing, and then part of the time I'm like, this is just so redundant over and over, and I have to watch the same thing like 7 times, and then I try to delete something, but I delete too much, so then I have to go back and try to figure out what I did wrong. You
and
know,
then Premiere Pro freezes.
yeah, I used Riverside for all my stuff,
Okay.
and it's pretty intuitive. But I feel like if you want to get more advanced, it's either not on the level that I have, or I'm just too dumb to work it. You know?
Yeah. I do all the basic stuff. I don't want to learn anything else, but I think Premiere Pro came out with some updates where it doesn't freeze as bad as it used to, but it used to freeze just all the time. It'd drive me absolutely insane.
Yeah. That sucks, man. So we're looking forward to seeing the Bearhawk go out on these hunting trips and stuff like that. I'd like to kind of see how it handles in the real world, like wilderness. Other than obviously the National STOL, we can see how you take off and land there, but you're not going to do that whenever you're out hunting or you have a
Yeah.
heavy load in. I kind of like to see how the Bearhawk handles in that kind of situation. That'd be cool.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'd say as far as I'm kind of risk adverse. I don't try to do a lot of crazy stuff being a lower time pilot. So I feel like I need to push myself a little more, but like it's always tiny steps. So getting used to the new plane, I'll start doing a lot more of that stuff. But I did take 4 of my buddies golfing with all of the golf bags and everything. I think I went 1,250 pounds in it, and it just it just took off.
That's
Honestly,
crazy.
it was. And the thing about my plane, it climbs like no one's business. It'll climb out at 2,500 feet a minute.
Oh
It's
wow.
yeah. I had 3 guys in full fuel, and I was climbing out at 2,000 feet a minute.
Phew.
It when you take off, like you almost like, man, is this thing gonna like flip over backwards or something? Like I gotta pull the, put the trim down, pull the power out a little bit because that thing will just go straight up in the air.
That's crazy, man. That would be cool though. I've never flown anything that was quite that powerful, so that would
Neither did I.
be that'd be entertaining. Oh,
Yeah,
geez.
absolutely.
So I appreciate you coming on the podcast. I'm a huge fan. Obviously, I've been following your stuff for a while. If you couldn't tell from the little bit of stuff I threw in there, I've been watching way too much of your videos.
Oh no,
Uh,
I appreciate it. Thank you.
but I appreciate you coming out here and talking to me. I'm going to end this the same way I end every other podcast, but I think I already know the answer to yours. So if money was no factor and you could have any aircraft that you ever wanted for personal use, what would it be and why?
Who said money's a factor?
Hey, for most people, money's a factor. I
Yeah,
don't know what you got going, but
it's the plan I have right now. Honestly,
yeah,
I wouldn't get a different plane. I don't know what else that you get. A heavy hauling bush plane that can cruise 155 mile an hour, has 1,400 pound useful load, and it's going to be taking off and landing in under 100 feet. I think after we get done with it. So it's incredible machine.
that's insane, man. Maybe one of these days I'll make my way up to Nebraska just so I can go on a ride with you in that thing. 'Cause that sounds insane.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime, for
Yeah.
sure. And where are you out of again? Uh,
Kansas City area.
yeah, well, if we go to St. Joe next year, just come say what's up and we'll go rip one.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, we went to this Pony Express stall this year, and my wife hated it because the entire like week leading up to it, I'm like, "Hey, John McCardle's going to be there. He's got this bear hawk. I'm so excited." And then something happened with I don't know if it was your 40-hour phase or whatever you had to do, but something happened and you
um,
came in the mall, and I'm like, "Oh well, at least he's still in the mall. He's here."
yeah, no, so we're waiting on the FAA to
Of course.
to give me my certification. I actually had probably one of the scariest moments uh, I've had flying at Pony Express because we had that big gusting crosswind,
Yeah.
and I lifted my tail up, and it must have gusted to like 25 and hit my tail and just turned me sideways like on the line, and I went to take off, and I was going like towards the judge is like, oh shit, and I couldn't get it back with the rudder, so I started slamming on the brakes and got it
Yeah.
back, and I was like, well, that was a long takeoff by John. Wonder what happened there. I was like, oh well,
Well,
almost.
that day, whenever we had those gusts, I think somebody I can't remember who it was that landed, but when they came in for a landing, they got hit a gust and it spun them sideways a little bit too. and I think they said that they got a warning or something for. I don't know how that works. I don't know what the rules are, but they said something about a warning for getting too close to the judges.
Yeah, I don't remember that one, but yeah, if you do spin the plane, you get warnings. But that was a really squirrely competition.
Yeah.
I'm there were a couple instances where people almost bent some metal up there.
Yeah, it was a lot of gust, and it was almost directly sideways from where you guys were landing at. So
Yeah, it was like a 20 knot crosswind in a
yeah,
stall competition.
hey, if we could have just turned the landing a little bit,
Yeah,
that
right.
would have been fantastic. We'd have had like, 30, 40 feet takeoff and landings from a mall.
Yeah, for sure. Too bad the runway didn't want to cooperate with us.
Right? Yeah. It's
They
usually how it
actually
works.
they actually almost struck a wingtip in a was it 130? DC 130? Is that what they are? The gunship
Oh,
that
you're
they
talking
have
about the
out
ones
there?
that are up there? Yeah, I think
The military
they have
planes?
the AC 130s up there. I
AC
can't remember.
130. Yeah,
Yeah,
there
yeah.
you go. Yeah, they came in and the day before it was really windy and they almost struck a wingtip when they were landing.
Oh wow.
It was pretty sketchy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot coming from one of those big planes too.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was like, oh man, they almost that would cost some money.
They don't care. They're not paying for it.
Yeah, right. We'll foot the bill.
Right, yeah. What's new?
Yeah,
All right, John. Well, it's nice talking to you, bud. You have a good night. And for everybody out there, just remember that success starts with a positive attitude.
we'll see you there, man.